Well, just got back from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Went to Harbor Freight down there. Picked up this new cabinet set. Bottom and the top. Gonna get things a little more organized in the air right now. Well, Harbor Freight's got some serious build qualities on these things. Man, oh man. The top chest is a freaking mess. This one, when it came, the drawer wasn't pushed in all the way tight before they locked it. And it broke the mechanism. So now it won't stay in all the way. See, these kind of have a positive grip there the last quarter of an inch. This one's all hosed up. I guess I have to put this thing back in the truck and haul it back to Virginia. I was going to take the chest back because that's even worse. I'll show you that in a minute. Ay, ay, ay. The last one I got was fine, but this thing's a mess. Yeah, see how I won't even stay shut? Well, here's this new tool chest, the top part of the cabinet. It is a mess. As you can see, it looks like the whole thing is just out of square. You can see a big dent here. It looks like it must have got kicked or dropped. You can see here where the metal bucked. The lid won't close properly. It's cockeyed. You can see the looks like there's a bow here. So I don't know. This thing has to go back to Fredericksburg today. Well, here's the box. I just noticed this now. That puncture wound through the side of the box is exactly where that big dent is in the side of the tool chest, which totally warped the whole thing, so it must have took a heck of a shot. So I drove this thing all the way back to Fredericksburg, Virginia, 60 miles each way, plus a $6 bridge toll. And they didn't give me any problem whatsoever. I had a manager help me. He goes, yep, sees it all the time. The problem is they don't pack them very well, and gave me a new one. We checked it over first, make sure it was okay. I asked him what he's going to do with this one. He said they sent them back to a warehouse, and they see what they can salvage out of them and resell them or whatever the case may be. Alright, so let's go ahead and pick up the story here. Okay, so here it is laying on the side. It'd be nice if Harbor Freight would make one of these boxes you could just take and pull the top right off. It's all strapped up with plastic straps anyway, so I don't know why they don't. They don't put cut here marks, so I was afraid to cut into the bottom of the box, not sure what I was going to be cutting into. So I just basically filleted the four sides of the box open and took it out that way. Here's the 4 casters that come with it, 2 fixed, 2 rotating with locks, wheel locks. And the other thing that comes with it, the handles, you just put those on, no big deal. These bolts will take a 1/2 inch wrench. These are, I'm not sure, I feel like plastic. It doesn't feel like there's any ball bearings in there. I would say that overall a 44-inch wide cabinet is a far superior cabinet to this one. Unfortunately, for my floor space out here in this tiny little shed area, I didn't really have the footprint, so I went with this one tall and narrow. But that one comes with nice solid steel wheels, can definitely support the weight. The other issue with this cabinet is, you probably can't really tell, but the bottom is not super stiff, so you got all this weight, and it's not a very wide footprint, not a very wide wheelbase. And so when it's loaded up with tools, it's kind of wobbly, it'll shake back and forth. And this is really all the half for stiffeners here, these little pieces of metal with maybe, I don't know, what is that, about a 3/7 inch flange there. Really it needs to have a nice stiffener put right down the middle there to tighten that thing up a little bit. If I had my metal brake, which I wanted to buy down there and they didn't have any, I'd go and bend a piece of metal and just rivet that puppy on there. As it stands now, I'm going to have to come back and do it later. I'll show you what I mean once the toolbox is loaded up, and you'll see how the thing kind of wobbles a little bit. Yeah, so here's the replacement chest. It's still not perfect. It's not as good as the one I already have from a few years ago. I don't know if you can tell here, but this is hanging a little bit over the edge more than it is on this side, so it's not a perfect fit there. But at least it's not completely out of square like the other one does. This one won't quite sit flat either. And that's a flat surface. Hopefully when we load that up with tools, that'll change a little bit. Seems like their quality build over the past couple of years has really diminished. I guess maybe the slave labor in China's getting tired of working so hard for such a little pay. Well, there it is, standing and stacked and ready to go. It is a little bit wobbly, and I'll show you that here in a minute. Okay, here's just an example of how wobbly it is. down low. Alright, here's the specs on the top tool chest. You can freeze frame that if you want to see. Basically, they say you can store up to 305 pounds of tools in here. Okay, and here's the specs on the bottom cabinet. Once again, if you want to freeze frame, they're saying you can store up to 1,060 pounds in this guy. I'll just give you an idea how this guy operates. There are some nice shocks here, which gives a nice firm resistance when opening and closing it. No complaints there. You can see it does wobble a little bit when we just even pull the top drawer open. These drawers, they do have a locking mechanism. When you push them in, they will secure. However, on the bottom, well, that one does. See, now the third one down, fourth one down, it's not really working. So I guess that's a function of the slide rails itself. Anyway, there's plenty of room to store your sockets in here. These are all empty. Here's some wrenches. Lots of room for 2 trays of sockets. More sockets. Once again, you can see the cabinet does wobble around quite a bit. The big difference between this cabinet and that 44-inch that I have, which I think is probably the best cabinet I have of Harbor Freight, is on the deeper drawers they give you 2 slide rails on each side. In this particular cabinet they only give you 1, so it's not going to hold as much weight or slide as smoothly as it would with a lot of weight in it as that 44-inch cabinet. This handle can go on either side, your choice. It's mounting holes. Typically you want to put your rotating caster on the same side as the handle, the rotating locking casters, and your 2 fixed on the opposite side. But you can do whatever you want. And of course with most of these cabinets, when the top is closed, you're not going to be able to open your drawers. These side handles on the top tool chest are not exceptional. They're secured on with 2 bolts on the bottom and then just hooked into little flanges on the cabinet. And I just have a feeling if you have 2 guys trying to carry this thing full of tools, these puppies are going to give way, so not going to give high points for that. Well, as I was loading this cabinet up with tools and starting to use it, every time I'd open the drawer, this thing would shake, rattle, and roll, and it was just getting to be too much, so I figured I better bite the bullet and do something about it. Pop these bottom 2 drawers out and put some stiffeners in here. I don't know if you could tell from the previous videos when I was giving the demonstrating how this thing would shake and rattle. This entire floor would just kind of twist because it really wasn't stiff as it should be. They have some stiffeners running side to side in the front and the back, but nothing front to back. And this thing was wobbling front to back, so I went and put 2 stiffeners in here front to back, and that seems to have definitely stiffened this base up quite a bit. If you don't want to use these ECU channels, you could also use a piece of angle iron. There's an 1.5-inch piece, as long as it doesn't come up above this edge here so it interferes with the drawer. Probably the ideal place to put this would be right here down the center line where the casters mount. I didn't do that with this because I wanted to have a bolt, close to the ends. And of course, with the caster there, you couldn't put a bolt down through there. I saw one guy on YouTube who used an angle iron, and he just put it so the vertical part was right about on the center line where the casters were. Then he drilled some holes to allow these nuts to come through his angle iron. He got some longer nuts that came up through the top and put some washers on it, and then used some nuts to basically secure both the caster and the angle iron down. This is a pretty good solution. It's a lot less work than what he did. Probably 90% of the solution he had, and a lot less time. The other consideration is this 36-inch U channel was about $16, $17 at the hardware store. It's almost twice the price of what an equivalently sized angle iron would be, so factor that into your decision. Here you can see what happens now when I open drawers. Well, I guess it helps if you open the top. There's still some movement, but not nearly as bad as it used to be. What you're seeing is a problem. It's a product of these extremely cheap casters here. These are just super hard plastic and not the strongest metal that there is. The only other problem is that the wheelbase front to back is only 13.5 inches, so you've got a cabinet that stands almost 6 feet tall on a wheelbase of 13.5 inches. It's bound to rock back and forth even with the best hardware. Frankly, if you're going to put this in your shop and not move it around, I mean, the most secure way to do would be just yank those casters off and put some 6x6 pressure treated lumber underneath that, put a couple screws in to hold them in place, and it's not going to rock at all. Here we can see the rail, and there are in fact some ball bearings in here. So here we go, these two cabinets sitting side by side. The 44-inch cabinet on the left, and of course the 26-inch cabinet. This is the first one I bought years ago. The new one is outside. Just to give you a perspective what they look like side by side. Of course, this guy didn't have all the initial problems that the new one had. Didn't have to take it back. It's a pretty good fit and finish on this. It does suffer from the wobbles. I have not had a chance to stiffen that base yet, which I think I need to do. But really, I believe this 44-inch is probably the prized jewel among the two of these anyway. For one thing, it has these really nice heavy-duty steel or cast iron casters on it, unlike these super cheap plastic ones that come on this 26-inch cabinet. The other nice thing is on these deep drawers, there's two slide rails to support the extra weight, whereas on the 26-inch cabinet, all the drawers only have one slide rail. But if you have the floor space, I would definitely go with the 44-inch as opposed to this 26-inch. I think it's just a better cabinet, and the price is about the same. You can also get a tool chest that goes on top of this guy. I believe the bottom ones you can get on sale for about $350, and I just priced the tool chest to go on top, and that's around $300. As opposed to $300 on sale for this entire 26-inch rack here. One nice thing about the drawers on this 44-inch cabinet is that mechanism that holds the drawers in place when they're shut, so they don't accidentally slide up when you're moving it around. That last half inch where you have to give it a nice little push. Really firm. Such a good thing in my opinion. On this first cabinet I bought, the 26-inch, it also has it both top and bottom, although it's not quite as stiff as it is on the larger cabinet over there. Now, as I showed you earlier, the new version of this I bought, it does have it on the top, but on the bottom of the drawers have that securing mechanism. Although the first cabinet I got that I had to take back, it did have it, so I don't know if it's just a defect in that batch of slides or they changed it midstream. Anyway, it's definitely some quality control issues there. Okay, so here you can see the little rubber guys, which I guess act as the stops when these drawers are pushed fully, and so that they don't, slide out accidentally when you're moving things around or opening other drawers. These aren't working too effectively, so I don't know if these weren't put on there right. Maybe these are supposed to be straight out. See, this one kind of grabs a little bit. So anyway, that's all there is to it, and they couldn't get that right. A little disappointing. Okay, I think I've solved the mystery of these little rubber stops that are supposed to hold the drawer in place when it's closed. I looked at some of the ones that were functioning properly, and this little rubber stop is supposed to be sitting straight out, perpendicular to the slide rail, and all it does is slide over a little tab on the end, and apparently these tabs got bent back, so just pry these rubber pieces off, get your pliers in there and square that up, and you should be good to go, although it is a pain in the butt to get all these drawers out. Okay, just before I jump off here, this is the 44-inch I was comparing this one to. I think that this is the best cabinet they have for under $400. I think it's probably also the best cabinet in its class. You're not going to find anything better than this. Craftsman, Lowe's, whatever the case may be, at least as long as the quality build is anything close to one I have. The 26-inch probably still, given the price, is probably going to be the best in class compared to what the other vendors are offering. Not too pleased with the build quality control on this last one, especially compared to the first one I bought, but like I said, compared to the competition, it's probably still the best thing out there. Alright guys, I hope this helps. If you have any comments or suggestions, please post them below. Cheers.